Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm coming at you with a current favorite blushes. I haven't done this in a very long time. This is not a top 5 because I'm doing it a little bit different this time. But I had someone comment on, I think this is my last blush video, which was over 2 years ago, February of 2022. Maybe I can't find one more recent, but they commented on this video asking if these were still my favorite blushes. And I was like, you must have been reading my mind because I had every intention to come on and do an updated video talking about my current favorites. Some of these are repeats from last time, only a couple of them. But how I'm doing it differently is I kind of thought of categories in my head of different types of blushes. And I'm gonna give you my favorite one within that category. So I've got glowy blushes, I've got peach blushes, pink blushes, cream blushes, liquid blushes, favorite blush overall, and I'm gonna do it that way. So let's go ahead and start out with the colors, and I'll talk about my favorite pinky blush and my favorite peach blush. My favorite pink blush is actually one that I have on as eyeshadow, and I'll go ahead and tell you that I absolutely adore using blushes as eyeshadow. I have used every single blush that I'm going to talk about today as an eyeshadow, even the liquid and creams. I just love how versatile they are. I love how it expands your color range. It expands your options within your own collection of what you can use on your eyes, and it really brings a look together when you use the same color on your eyes as you do your cheeks. I didn't do that today because I wanted to use multiple of my favorites. However, I often do it, and those days tend to be the ones that I get the most compliments on my makeup because everything just looks so much more pulled together. So for my favorite current pink blush, it has to be the Dior Rosy Glow in Rosewood. And I know everybody talks about is it Rosy Glow? Pink something, the original one that looked like a very bright poppy, like vibrant Barbie pink. I don't have that one. This one is, I'm not going to say more my speed because there's a time and a place for that kind of pink for me, but this I absolutely adore. So again, it's what I have in my crease right now, and this is the swatch. It is not, it's called Rosy Glow, but it's not really a glowy blush. I mean, I guess it would be considered maybe satin because, I mean, it does hit the light a little bit, but it definitely isn't shimmery. It doesn't have any kind of sparkle or anything like that. It's just a very pretty, deeper pink than that Barbie pink that everybody was raving about for so long. And I just like the formula of this blush, again, for the cheeks and the eyes. And I actually just ordered the, I think it's called Poppy Coral version of this. Ulta was having like a 15% off if you use the app. And I was like, you know what? The Poppy Coral looks right up my alley too. So I'm gonna try that one, but Rosewood is definitely a favorite of mine right now. This next one is my favorite peach, and it has been a favorite for so long. It was actually one of the two that is a repeat from my last video, and it is the Hourglass Dim Infusion. Y'all, I just love this color of peach so much, and peach is really a color that I gravitate to more than not when it comes to blush and eyeshadow, to be honest. I just really love a peach shade. This is so underwhelming when it's swatched, and I've talked about that a lot. I think that's really the case for a lot of Hourglass products, but I don't even know. I mean, you can see it, right? But it's a little underwhelming. But when you put it on the skin, and if you search my channel, you'll be able to see me using it because I've used it multiple times. It is so beautiful. Now, I got lucky. I did order this one online, and it is very heavy with the peach pigment, but the Hourglass powder products like this, the bronzers and the blushes, are mixed in with their ambient lighting powders, and it is a gamble as to what you're gonna get. So if you are able to go into store and purchase this so that you can look at what you're getting, that's probably gonna be best if you wanna make sure you get the majority of the pigment from the color of the blush versus the majority of the ambient lighting powders, because sometimes the marbling is like a little bit of the blush and a lot of the powder, and you're not going to get good payoff that way. And the same is for the bronzers. But again, I was lucky when I got this one. because it is very much the peach. And I've used it so much you can't even see the ambient lighting powder. Really, the marbling has gone away. Now let's talk about my favorite blush to use when I don't want to look like I have blush on. That is a category I made up for this video because it is a true category that I have when choosing blushes. And this is something I do a lot in the summer. It's something I do a lot when I want to have a more no makeup look where I'm just not feeling a ton of color on my cheeks. I want my bronzer to blend in so much with my blush that they almost look the same. And yes, you could use your bronzer on your cheeks where you put your blush if you want to do that. But this is something that gives a tad bit of a different color, but is so neutral and beautiful on the cheeks that I had to include it in this category. And it is my Sicily L'Orchidée #1 blush. And I think you can see why, just looking at the product itself, why it falls in this category, because it is more of a bronze shade altogether. There are 3 different shades in this blush with a little bit of the flower being that peach. But when you put it all together, even though it swatches peach, it does look more bronzy. And it's definitely a bronze peach, if that makes sense. Again, one you're gonna have to see me using on my cheeks in many videos. I'll try to find one for this specific one and put it up in a card because it does translate more bronze on the skin, and it is just something that I choose in that category. Another one that I really like that I will try to link down below for this specific category, in fact, I have used it as a bronzer almost in videos, is the RMS blush in Maiden's Blush. That one is very bronzy and very appropriate for this category. And speaking of RMS, y'all know I had to include one of their blushes in one of these categories, and it wasn't hard to pick which one. This is my best glowy blush, and it's because of the formula in the RMS Redimension Hydro Powder blushes that these are so beautiful and glowy. They are like a baked gelée. You can see just by me turning the pan that the product catches that light so beautifully. However, when you swatch it, you don't see discernible shimmer. You don't see any sparkles. This is one of my favorite shades within them. I have every shade in this blush. Again, the Maiden's Blush is beautiful as a bronzier version. This one is Bohemian Girl. It's really hard to pick a favorite out of all of them, but this is very high on the list, and you can see it is peachy. Probably why it's high on the list, but do you see how that it's definitely the glowiest out of all that I'm gonna show you in powder form because it just makes the cheeks come alive. It's one that you can use if you don't want to use a separate highlighter, you just want to put on some color on your cheeks and have a 2-in-1 product. These are also beautiful on the eyes. I love using these specifically for a one and done wash of color because they do have that sheen in them, but I've used them only in my crease before and they're beautiful that way as well. Again, if you know that I love a blush, if I have every color within the line, and that is the case for these RMS blushes. All right, before I get to my favorite of all time, I will go ahead and talk about my favorite liquid blushes and my favorite cream blushes. I will go ahead and say that I tend to reach for powder more. However, just like I am leaning more towards liquid and cream highlights more than anything these days, I am using liquid and cream blushes a lot more. And my favorite liquid blush is not gonna be a surprise probably because I've talked about this so many times, but it's from Chantecaille and it is they call this a gel cream blush, but to me it's liquid. The Hydrating Gel Cream Blush in the shade Happy, and this shade is specifically my favorite within the line as well. And you will not be surprised why. This is actually a liquid gel version of the RMS Beauty that I just showed you. Very, very, very similar actually. But the glow from this comes from the fact that it is a liquid and gel formula. It is very easy to blend into your cheeks with a blush or your fingers or a sponge, however you want to use it. And this is also something that could double as a highlight and blush in one because of the natural finish you get from a gel or liquid product, as you can see as it's catching the light. Really pretty, especially on those days where you just can't be bothered. You want to stick on a tinted moisturizer, stick on this blush. You've got your color, you've got your highlight, you've got your glow, fresh, healthy skin, and you're out the door. For cream blushes. I have a lot, and I've actually gotten a couple in the past couple weeks that I have been loving, but because I've only used those for a couple weeks, I couldn't say they were absolutely my favorites right now or for the past, year or whatever. These definitely are, and this is going to be redundant because I just talked about them in a video not long ago, but the Beauty Pie cream blushes. I love these. They're very affordable. I think they're $14. You do have to have a Beauty Pie membership. I personally have one because I find it worth it. And I say you have to have a membership. You have to have a membership to get that price. I'm pretty sure you can buy them either way. They're just going to be more expensive. Y'all, there is a theme to this video because my favorite out of all of them is Fresh Faced. And I think the last time I used this a few weeks ago, I used one of the pink shades. So it's good if you want to go back and see how that looks. But Fresh Face is the peach, and it is my favorite. They also do limited edition ones every once in a while, so be on the lookout for that because this one is probably my favorite that I have had from a limited edition launch. And again, you're gonna see why, but this is called Gleam Me Up, and this is not so you can go buy it because obviously it's limited edition, but if y'all have it, maybe it'll signal you to find it out of that drawer and use it again because it is, look at that shine. It is so pretty. It just hits the light so gorgeously, and it is a peach, y'all. It's just a thing with me. It's just a thing. I do love a pink blush, but man, peaches have a special place in my heart. So the Beauty Pie cream blushes, I just love the formula. They stay on for a very long time because sometimes people have issues with cream blushes actually staying just because of the nature of the formula itself. If you do find you're one of those people, you could obviously layer a cream blush with a powder blush. I do that very often, probably all the time on my brides because it just really helps amp up the color and it helps with the longevity. But you do sacrifice some of the finish that you get from a cream or a gel or a liquid if you do that, unless you set it with something like the RMS that has that pretty glowy finish as well. And then finally, I have to tell y'all my favorite blush of all time. If I had to get rid of every single blush in my collection, this would be the one that I would repurchase first. And y'all probably know what it is. It's what I have on my cheeks today, the Jane Iredale Sheer Honey. I love the Jane Iredale blushes. This is another brand. I think Jane Iredale and RMS are the only brands that I have every single color in the collection. This is one that I have gone through an entire blush, and I am close to hitting pan on this one. And when you're talking about as many blushes as I have in my collection, that is huge. That goes to show how much I love a certain blush. And this is just hands down my favorite. It is one of my favorite blushes to use as eyeshadow. It is so complimentary to blue eyes that way. It looks very blah right now in the pan. And honestly, it looks kind of blah when you swatch it too. This is also one that could go in that bronze category because it does lean bronze. It does have a peachy bronze undertone to it. It's just something that works every single time. If I don't have time or inclination or just the want to try to think about what I'm gonna wear that day, the want to try to think about what blush is gonna go with my eye look, I will always choose this because it goes with everything. Again, I have it on today, but I am gonna show you a reapplication of it because I had to highlight my favorite blush brush. I feel like people always ask that. Unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, depending on how you look at it, this is only available in a set and it is from It Cosmetics. However, the set that you get this in also has my all-time favorite buffing brush, the Duo Fiber brush that I get asked about all the time that I use with my Hourglass powder. So if you decided you wanted the set, it would be something where you get two of my favorite brushes of all time. But I don't know if you'll be able to see. There are dents all over the ferrule. This is a well-loved, well-used, for years blush brush. And it is hands down the one that I use probably 98.9% of the time. And I will pick the product up on the brush, tap it out. I thought I was gonna get through the whole video without messing up. And I will start on the apple. I don't ever go smile and then put it, and then, because I don't walk down the street smiling like that. And if I do that, apply the blush, and then my mouth drops, so does the blush. So I kind of have a neutral face when I apply blush. I tend to start in the middle of the eye. So I take the middle of my iris, go all the way down, and that's where I like to start with the blush. And I will go all the way up to the cheekbone, or to the cheekbone, to the hairline, on the cheekbone. I do not concentrate blush only on my cheek. I always take it up to the hairline. And sometimes I will also put it in my temples, especially if I'm using one of the bronzy blushes and I'm using it as a blush and bronzer in one. I will take it up to my temples and sometimes even on my forehead. And just to showcase that duo fiber brush, I'll go ahead and buff what I just put on so there's no harsh lines. And that's a wrap. Those are my favorite blushes right now and for a very long time. Ones I go to time and time again. I do like getting new blushes. I do like trying new blushes, and I do keep y'all informed of how I feel of those blushes in favorites videos and playing with new makeup videos and tutorials. But these are truly the ones that I just go back to time and time again. I have talked about them time and time again. It is repetitive if you have been watching me. However, I don't mind being repetitive. I don't want to be the channel that only talks about new things and always goes on to the next best thing, because that is not genuine for me. I truly reuse products that I fall in love with over and over again, and I'm gonna let y'all know that. And I think that's pretty evident in what I've showed you today if you've been watching my channel for any length of time. So I will list and link everything that I talked about down below with any discount codes that might be affiliated with them. Let me know if you have any questions. And as always, when we do these kind of videos, I wanna know what your favorite blush of all time, kind of like my Sheer Honey, if you had to get rid of all of them, what would be the one that you would repurchase first? Down in the comment section below, let's share that with everybody. Thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure and like and subscribe before you leave so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day.